It's not your fault, Mitch.
It kind of is.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Have it in. Some more. Just get some more.
Hey, well, hello, and welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access craft whiskey show. Ah, man, terrible beginning. That's what happens when I haven't had anything to drink, and it's been a long week. So let's just go with welcome to My Whiskey Den.
Hey, cheers. Howdy.
See,
welcome.
Sorry about that, everyone. My apologies, little letdown there. And no, I'm not going to edit that out. And I do better live. That's just the problem here. We're recording this evening with Mitch, and it'll be coming out Monday, which we usually have. We're going to get a chance to go over 3 different whiskeys this evening. It's the ones that we found out Mike was holding out from us on the last Mitch-a-palooza show, but he did man up and hand out 3 samples, and I'm pretty excited because they are all looking very unique.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
How are both of you guys doing today?
Mitch?
I'm living that dream, right? It's Saturday. I don't have to work. Favorite part of the week right there. So how about you, Mike?
We always start talking with the color wheel. We start with white and we work our way around.
Yes, what can I say?
Yeah. No, I've lots of projects and cooking today, and now it's starting a break time. So I did make. I'll throw in a what do you call it? What do you call it when you pimp somebody else? What do you call it? I'm losing my words. Another channel. Anyway, this little channel called Whiskey Tribe. They did whiskey pickles. I made them today.
Oh,
yummy. You know what I use for the whiskey? Wee Beastie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be
I highly recommend look that up, look up the recipe, and make them. I am going to make a lot of them. Really tasty, but I will not buy Fireball ever.
Oh, I was gonna say, is it kind of whatever you want kind of takes over pretty well?
They did. So Whiskey and Barbecue is the one that came on and did it, and then but on Whiskey Tribe they did 10 different spirits.
Okay.
I would say they're all whiskeys because there were some gins thrown in there, and one of the spirits was Fireball, and apparently it was really good. So if you have Fireball, it's probably a better use for it than drinking it.
That's true. I'd be surprised when people come over too.
Yeah, and the one I want to try is they were talking about the rum, and they said the rum is probably better for snacking or like a charcuterie board. So I'm going to try rum, but yeah, I made it with that Wee Beastie. It's really good.
That is cool.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
All right.
It doesn't taste like Wee Beastie though, but you get the peat, you get that on there, but it's not because you got apple cider vinegar in there, and you got peppercorns and coriander and and all that mustard seed and everything else in there, and the dill. So there's a lot of things going on, but you can tell when you eat those pickles, you're like, this has peat in it. It was beautiful.
That's
good times.
Okay. All right, sorry, I had a sip because I couldn't wait any longer, so we're gonna have to turn
go ahead.
Around. But
I'll you want to make me big?
I will. I can do that. Hold on a second here. I gotta get me big first, and then I'll trade you. There it is.
All right. So the first one, Lee W. Sinclair 4 grain. It is a single barrel pick for NES. This is Lee Sinclair finished in stout barrels, and they blinged it up really good, and it had Ninja Turtles on it.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Someone 3D printed it and everything. Of course, it fell off right away. It's back here behind me.
Okay, but what one? Who did you get?
Okay, so Complexity had
matter?
Shredder. This one, I think.
Oh wait, I'll go back because if you're gonna bring it out, I'll go back.
I gotta find it. I gotta find out which one it was.
All
But
right.
they did a Complexity pick too, and Complexity had Shredder on, and I cannot remember which one Lee had on because it fell off like in shipping. So
Oh, okay.
I don't even remember what it was on there. But anyway, so
That's
yeah.
a shame.
Okay, that's gonna bring up a whole different thing. Halfway through at the end, who's your favorite Ninja Turtle? Okay, but back to the tasting. See if the smell and taste affects your judgment here.
Okay.
Oh. Okay, so this is the Lee Sinclair, and it's 53.7% and in a stout barrel.
Yes, sir. 4.5 year.
I feel like that it kind of the stout you're getting, and it is a little maltier note, but I feel like I'm missing some of the fruit, a little bit of the fruit that I usually get, like the darker fruit notes in here, because they're like covered up by the stout barrel. But the stout barrel is present for me.
So this is awkward to say. I don't think I've ever had so I know I don't own a bottle of the regular Lee Sinclair. I've only owned single barrels. I think I've only had just kind of the small batch twice. So this smells different than everything else, which smells different than everything else. So I can't really
I understand
speak
that.
to the difference.
I'm fairly similar. I know the base, but it's not what I've typically ever had.
But this is fudgy in
Mm-hmm.
in the background, which is awesome.
Yes. And this, I'll say that this I picked up at Happy Hour Liquor, which ships. Well, I'll say that they shipped when I ordered. I cannot confirm that they would still ship, but it shipped to an address that was legal to ship to. I'll say that.
Okay, like Mitch said, it's denser. It's dense on the nose. Like what is there seems thick. Like I'm getting notes, but it's densely layered. Like it's not pulling apart easy for me.
Yes.
Could just be me. I wasn't 100% earlier this week as well too. So,
and it's weird because I swear I'm getting a little bit of dill, and I know there's not like rye or dill in here, so I'm kind of freaking out a little bit.
Well, Mike could be doing stuff to screw with you. You never know.
Yeah.
You get a different test sample.
I dip all the bottles in dill before I send them.
Is that what you call it?
I'm a dill dipper.
Is that where the fudge is coming from?
It's nutty. I have to say this bottle, which I've been very sparingly have it. I know that the distiller, Mr. Bishop, has said he's not into finishes, and that for regular releases. But I know what happens with single barrels. But I'll be damned if I don't wish that this was a regular release.
So where he used to work, the very first bottle I ever bought from there was a brandy finished in Sierra Nevada Narwhal casks. So it was a brandy finished in a chocolate stout. It's like, okay, chocolate and grapes, like, yeah, those two things really work well together.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a fan of stout finishes ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you guys had a sip yet?
Many.
Okay. I want to hear what you think about it first. I'm going back in on this.
No, I want to hear what you guys think about it.
Mitch is the guest. I yield my time.
Oh yeah. It's like when you say ladies first so you can stare at their butts. This is interesting.
What?
Hold the door for you.
I
He's
did
getting
it to
something
be
out of
polite.
it is what I was saying. So this is really interesting. So it's not as, it might be what I just ate, which was dried mangoes, because I just tried to put something on my stomach real quick. I'm not getting a lot of fruit, probably because I just ate that, but man. It's so interesting. It's a little shiny when I first take a sip with just vanilla up front. Then oats take over. It gets a great mouthfeel. Then the stout finish kind of starts to come in with that darker, deeper notes. And then I still swear I get some weird dill. It might not be dill, but just green vegetables type herb in there that just kind of bounces through every once in a while.
That's interesting. You're on that side of it. I was going through a little bit different. Like for me, the viscous front half of it, I almost got like just this like caramely, but not a lot. I didn't feel a lot of pop and flavor right away coming in, but it almost felt like very viscous and covering like the first half of my tongue. Then when I swallowed, it lightened up, and that's when everything started coming up. And that's when I also had a little bit of like, I don't want to call it heat, but it was more like tingling, like kind of coming up, and saliva, mouthfeel. And this is in the finish for me is extremely long, and this is where I'm having a lot more of flavor progression, more so than in the drink on the first couple of drinks I've had so far. And that's where my brain was, not on flavors. So I gotta switch it up again. And sorely, maybe pour a little more. Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Mitch has got to be careful. He needs to maybe save a little.
You should save a little bit.
Should save a little.
I should, but I should also eat better and exercise. But here I am eating dried mangoes and crackers right before I start drinking in a basement while sitting. So we see how well that's going, right?
As long as the FBI doesn't come to your door, I think you sound okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we found him in his basement drinking.
No, you just acquire. You don't resale. I think he's safe.
I've safe. never sold anything.
No. I've traded, not sold.
I've traded once, and I've muled a couple times, but that's it.
Yep.
Wow. Like any good person should do. Just saying. Okay. Now that Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
So on the nose on this thing, the first thing that I get, well, it was in this order, coming back to it, was cream, vanilla, bread, caramel, brown sugar. All sweet notes that I really like about bourbons that are just like, yeah. And then, but on the palate, that's where it got interesting, because it was in this order: fruit, bread, chocolate, butter, and brown sugar oatmeal on the palate, and just hung there. And then the finish on this is creamy chocolate covered cereal bar.
Really? I'm getting that's what I'm getting, this poof of like, I get bright, I get a little more lemon. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just like inhaling, it feels like drying and fresh. I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of activity going on right now, in the finish for me.
This hits all the fat boy sweet notes that I like about bourbon.
The cream is kind of the viscousy part. When you said cream, after I went back and had that's kind of that creamy kind of mouthfeel at the front end when I was saying, but that was so like coating on my tongue.
Yeah. Now I will say, I can't say I haven't had anything to eat today, but my day has spent either prepping the food for or smoking. So smoking a lot of food, and then making those whiskey pickles, and then also cooking some breakfast patties ahead of time. stuff like that. So I've had a lot of smells coming at me today. None of them bad. And then, of course, the whiskey pickles, which that was just an hour ago that I made the whiskey pickles. Just a hair over an hour ago. So I've had a lot of those smells on there. But all these, this to memory, it's like that's about right what this whiskey was. And I like the proof on it. It does not drink at the proof that it is. But I also, it's like if this had these, to me, right, if these had these flavors, and if it give me that slap around like a really high proof, I would be in just fat boy heaven right now.
Really?
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Be in the zone. Get that
But just that, you just get that slap, and then later you're just like, oh yeah, you can do whatever you want to me right now. It's just everything just hits over your way. I would be in heaven.
It was such a good slap. It was stunning.
Yes. Yes.
Mitch, you look lost. Are you okay?
I'm trying to figure this out because every sip's a little different. Because I'm not getting that caramel that y'all were kind of talking about. Or
I'm
really
thinking
brown
mine's
sugar.
more of like a little, I would say brown sugar or molasses than caramel for me, but it's with a cream. When you said cream, like a cream soda, like that is kind of more what the front part is for me on that one.
That'll teach you for eating fruit.
I know. I should never do it again.
Nope. It's not good for you.
Mm-mm.
I haven't heard good things.
Anyone who's ever done it has died. So
This is true.
So
You sound like Bill Hicks. Non-smokers die every day.
I was good at marketing at one point.
This is interesting. So depending on the size sip I take is completely changes the flavors. So if I take a nice big old sip, it's a lot more vanilla, a lot more like oats and oatmeal, and then kind of toasted oak and a slight like herbaceousness. But when I take a small sip, I get the brown sugar, but I get like fudge, a lot of like, it's not chocolate and it's not artificial, but it is dense and dark, which is very interesting. I don't really have a lot of whiskeys that if you take a big old swig, you're like, nope, all the dark stuff just left.
I do. I was gonna say, I agree with the fudge note on that for sure.
This would be worth, of course, they're local to you, Mitch, but this would be worth seeing if there is any more of this by chance.
It's
Happy
not
Hour is here in Louisville?
Yeah.
Huh. Guess there's a liquor store I haven't been to. Whoops.
I think there's 2 locations. It's called like Happy Hour Liquor and Bar. So it's another one of those types where you can sample and such. But as my understanding, they do a lot of barrel picks. So
Not totally Googling that right now.
Sorry, I just all right.
Yeah.
What's number 2 we're doing here this evening?
I think number 2 we should go with Edelbrand.
Edelbrand?
Yep.
Okay.
You want to make what?
Not yet. I asked who was your favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle before we leave. I was out there long beforehand, so this is where does that drop into? And I'm gonna throw. Do you even respect the new movies that they put out, or is the original movies the only ones you like? Because not like, but I only like the turtles from there. I don't like them where they look like hulked out WWE wrestling turtles.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of the new ones. I barely saw any of the cartoons. I saw the original movies. I actually had, even though I was in college at the time, I had a Ninja Turtle pillowcase. So I wouldn't say I'm like a super fan or anything, but my dilemma with the turtles has been, because they are named after the Renaissance, to cross in the wrestling, since you did put wrestling for the background, the 4 horsemen of the Renaissance. Wasn't my favorite of the Renaissance artists, but maybe by a hair my favorite Ninja Turtle, Donatello.
That's fair. That's fair. I respect that. I always like the bow staff. I see TV show. I'd like it. It's always those weird things like who do you think you are when you're like watching it? Because there's like where would you fit in if you were in there? And it's like, oh, you'd like to say you're Michelangelo, but you're probably the way you're acting today. It's more like Raphael.
Like Harry Potter. He's such a Hufflepuff. You won't want to be Gryffindors, but you're a Hufflepuff.
Good luck. I wish you all the best.
Nerds. All right. What about you, Mitch?
Okay, so I come at this completely differently because I was not allowed to watch violent shows growing up or movies. So I've probably seen like 3 episodes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the movies once a long time ago. So my experience is from video games. And Donatello with the bow staff is so overpowered because he has so much longer reach than everybody else. You know, especially if you've got, versus a Sai or whatever. It's like, what do? Yeah. I punch, but I poke 4 inches further than I punch. As opposed to the guy who's like, what do you have? I have a 4-inch beat stick that I hit people with. So, Donatello.
It'd be a pickup line if you play your cards right.
But I poke 4 inches further than I punch.
Let me show you the door.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Michelangelo, but Donatello was my number 2. I always find it weird when you ask a lot of people, no one really wants to be Leonardo. That's all I'm saying. It's just, or where he was not people's favorite.
See, and so this is where, well, as an artist, Michelangelo is one of my favorite artists, and what he did in his commitment and just how he sculpted and everything else. But as studying him in school and studying him after an adult, an asshole. And I remember, and I should go back, but I remember there was one of the depictions of him. I think it was a self-portrait, and it shows his nose just a little off, and he was vain, and I think a little man, but they said he probably had his nose broken because he was an asshole. So, but like that, it's hard to tell, but of the 4, Leonardo, my favorite artist overall.
Okay. Well, I just meant of the Turtles, but as you're going artist,
yes, I'm crisscrossing, because I have to.
No, it's hard not to look at all the contributions Leonardo had besides just painting and sculpting. I don't know, that gets into a different realm. So
yeah,
there's an appreciation of all of them. But oh man, I opened this up. This is a whole different ballgame when I poured this.
This is wild. Like we poured it and it was clear, and my brain was like, "What?"
Yeah. So you want to blow me up? I'll show
coming.
the.
All right, hold on here.
That's Mitch.
That's Mitch, and sliding it over.
So this is the Edelbrand,
mm-hmm.
And they will be on the show coming up. Did get to on a couple of occasions meet Lynn. Part of the ownership is a family business, actually here in Missouri or Missouri, if that's what you want to call it incorrectly. But they do the patriarch of the clan is Swiss, and so he does Swiss style distilling, and they have a lot of brandies. And 2 weeks in a row, they were in Kansas City doing some tastings of their stuff, and brought a lot of their stuff. It was a very fun brandy tasting because they sell everything that they make. It's not all their they're not growing everything there because they obviously they can't, but man, they're making a ton of brandies. But then they said, would you like to try these? And they had these spirits made from beer. There was a Russian Imperial Stout, which I absolutely loved, a distilled Russian Imperial Stout, and that chocolate came through on that. It was fantastic. Then there was an IPA that took all the things that I don't like about IPA away, but you still knew it was an IPA that was distilled. And that was really good. And then this one, which the reason that I picked this one is because I thought, this could be confused for a gin. And as if, getting into, or at least, hipping to good, fun gins, I thought this could be a fun gin fooler and cocktail to try with this one. So that's why I bought this. But this is from Urban Chestnut Brewing. And they call it the Spirit of the Brewmaster series. And this is a single batch spirit made from winter white ale mash, finished with an infusion of earthy coriander, sweet orange peel, and the rich fragrance of star anise. So, yeah. Oh, we lost Mitch.
We did, just there for a second. So hopefully he'll come back. Oh, there he is. He's back.
I said coriander 3 times in a row, so he disappeared. But they're very nice guys. I did hear that on one of our sister channels. I heard them. The family was actually interviewed on Distillers Talk, and that was really cool. And like I said, then it was just like, hey, Edelbrand's going to be. They were at my favorite store down the street, and then they were at another branch of that store the following week when Kevin came to town. So we're like, hey, you want to go try some Edelbrand before we go to this concert? And so we did. And Kevin, I think, picked up their Slivovitz, which was also really good. Honestly, everything I tried of theirs was really, really good. And again, Lynn was spectacularly nice. I look forward to getting him on the show and talking with them, because they are like they all sound really nice and very passionate. But this I thought was a very, very interesting spirit.
Okay.
So I'm really curious what you think of it.
Yeah, winter white ale from Urban Chestnut Brewing. Okay, infused with coriander, orange peel. Okay, when I poured this, it like poof. There was flavor coming out of the glass. I could smell it from here that there was like a change in the room. Kind of calmed down a little bit since then, but I'm going to go back in here.
Now, would you agree, after, if not knowing anything about it, if I handed this to you and didn't say what it was, and maybe it's because of the infusion, but would you what spirit would you think it is as a category?
Gin.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have enough pine or whatever, juniper notes in it. But like, you get your nose in there, and it's either the coriander or the star anise, right? That jumps out, and you're there like, okay, yeah. And then you get that little citrusy from the orange peel.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could be imagining it, but the hops add a little, if there are any hops, something in there adds a little like sparkle on the nose, right? It's not just herbaceous, malty goodness. There's something in there that's bright.
To me, I get the new make kind of. When you were saying, what does this remind me of? There's actually a vodka that this reminds me of, because it's just it obviously not like straight potato one, but it was one that had a little more flavor and stuff. I think it was a Polish one. Man, it's interesting because I'm getting notes that hit in there for a second and then they leave.
Yeah. And the thing is, they sell
notes that are really
their bottles are small, which that's not a knock on it. But the problem with that is I should have bought a second one right away, because what I want to do with this is I want to try the gin and tonic, but the coriander, that's what killed me. So when we had the gin epiphany with Dancing Goat,
mm-hmm.
and he talked about the coriander in their gin and using the orange instead of lime because of what orange does to coriander. And I thought, gin and tonic with this, I want to try this over ice. I want to try this with other stuff. And I've been sharing it, and it's like, I'm almost out, and I've hardly gotten to experiment with this thing. So I am going to have to get another one and try some of these experiments, because also I'm looking forward to having this in the summer. I think this could be a lot of fun in the summer outside.
I get what you're saying, Mitch. It's when you're. I think vegetal is going to give people the wrong mindset, but
I do. No, I get that.
it's veg. It's like a field. But it's like not like the late summer, but like right when it goes from like spring into summer when everything's really growing and you still have like.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a lot
hard
of
to describe a green.
there's a lot of
bright
herbal
red.
notes just lightly threading through here, and there's some, but the coriander is like a level on top of the cap of the notes for me. Like you got to pull through it. Like I can pull through the coriander, and then I start getting this other stuff.
Would it be fair to say something like well, it's probably the wrong phrase, but like a summer salad where so it's got a little bit of vegetables, a little bit of fruit, a little bit of everything in this little mix, you know?
It's like a little balsamic sprinkle on top.
Yeah.
I could see that. It's
I'm
also
gonna throw a
like
word.
it's also got like a lemon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say cucumbers. I don't know why, but
I would agree with
There is-
that, but I've also been eating cucumbers.
It's the fresh note. It's the freshness in it.
Right.
right, it's a very. That's wild.
Yeah.
This is really interesting. Like I don't normally.
Okay, well,
I don't.
So-
and you're. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Mitch.
I was
I'm going to shut
Wait.
up.
when y'all make your trek down here, and I mean like physically here, like at these bottles, instead of just gracing Louisville and being like, "Hey, Mitch, it's so nice to see the town you live in before piecing out again." I have a gin that they used wet hops to flavor, to adjunct the juniper.
Okay.
And you need, like, if you can bring a little sample of this down and compare it, I think we might find some similarities. Because
I will make sure that this happens.
Because this isn't like IPA hops that I'm smelling in here, and it's not like IPA hops in that gin either, where you're like, oh, Citra or whatever incredibly forward hop, profile they went for. This is, I want to say it's hoppy, but I
And for
don't know.
adding any.
No, I get what you mean.
on here,
It's not.
And I
it's-
don't get that very much at all in here. I'm saying you added it. I'm not. Like a little bit on the sides of my nose, but it is faint compared for saying you added it. You know what I mean?
See, the thing that gets me on it,
Coriander.
because back when I did drink beer on a regular basis, I like the wit, but knowing that, it's like, yeah, this reminds me of that. It's like this is distilled from that, but then they have the infusion of the other flavors, but it just has that. It's kind. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe that flavor, like in case you've had that. Just like if someone is, how would you describe a bitter beer?
Yeah,
It's
delicious.
not necessarily bitter, but I like them. Anyway.
Okay, I didn't have any up until now. Okay, it is only 40 because I was even going off the nose and everything there. I was expecting to be a little sharper on the taste and not as rounded as I got, just because of everything going on there. But this is going to take a little while to deconstruct because this, once again, a lot of flavors. But I'm a horrible word, smooth. It's not sharp. It's oily.
No.
It's rounded. Everything is married together well as far as the flavors go.
Yeah.
Just on that first sip, it's hard to. Nothing was jumping out like you would almost expect a little bit off the nose. You know what I mean? I was expecting something to show up being, I don't want to say more aggressive, but more as like center staging. And that wasn't what I had on the first sip here.
Yeah, I find it interesting to sip on its own, but can you imagine though? It's warm outside, couple small ice cubes, slice of orange with it. There, yeah.
Hit it with a little tonic.
That is.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, it is. Okay, I didn't say that, but it's
fun.
I'm just like surprised by how interesting, like you said, by itself, like this by itself, people will put together a drink. Like you said, this is a drink. That's what's dangerous. You could fill it up and just be like, a couple of things of ice and be on your way. Be down in 45 minutes before a concert, but at the same time, that cup would disappear.
Yeah.
Or like you said, just like a little bit of clubs and just a little bit of fizz to add in like that little bit of that pop to it. This is very, very. I can see why they brought so much to a lineup. You know what I mean? If this is what you're getting off of this, I would love to see some of the things that they have off of some fruit and brandy. Like you said, some other things. Just by the style that you're getting here.
Brandies were good in this. They had 3 or 4, might have been maybe 3. Well, 3 that I can remember of the distilled beer mash. And he said they were all, you could tell their source as far as I was concerned, because it was that IPA one and then that Russian Imperial Stout, which I really, really like. And this one I thought was the most fun.
Okay, I want to guess, but I'm going to guess the pot still. There's just the oiliness on this.
Yes, they have pot stills.
I can't not think that was involved. Maybe even twice on some of these. I don't know.
This is wildly good.
Yeah.
Okay. Seeing where this starts here. I don't know if you want to put it in a barrel. Do you? There might be some things I might argue not. I mean, this, like you said, you could serve this over the bar as almost its own drink.
I don't know why you would.
I mean, think about flavors you would subtract and what you would add, right?
Right.
Like, I wouldn't want to put this in like a new oak barrel because it would filter out too much. So if you put it in used, you would basically only be able to get vanilla and caramel, and it's already sweet. Like, why would you add that in there?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. When weather breaks out, they're on the other side of the state, but I like to go and check them out. But yeah, do seriously, because shameless plug. I guess that's a phrase I was looking for earlier. Shameless plug. Look up the episode of Distillers Talk when the family was on, and they were a lot of fun to have on there, listening to them and meeting Lynn in person. She was absolutely a delight and really great, and a damn good brand ambassador, knowing everything about their spirits. But it was really good.
Sorry, props to anyone who's a brand ambassador does well. I'm going to do that from now on because I'm sick of crappy ones. No, I that went on. Part of my rant is this year is that everyone's like, give everyone a break and give every blah, blah, blah. I'm half done with that. Like, I understand life and everything happens. But there's a point where you need to have a standard for a job again. Sorry. It can't just be you make shit up on the spot.
Yeah. We should come up with a scale.
No.
Come up with a scale and have a picture of like the best brand ambassador, and then have like the worst ones we encountered and just say, you fall.
So Stephen Fanti versus who is really what you're asking, right?
Well, we might have to search out some of the bad, but we do know of a couple. But I mean, it's hard to call people out on that realm personally. See, because I also understand, like, where are you? Because you might think someone's a brand ambassador. That might just be someone filling in at a festival where they're not. But then, then you should.
And we experienced that.
But then you should state that, and that's what I like about. I've been a couple places where
it happened. There was a very heated conversation with the. Well, there was perturbed listening the first time that the person was talking, and then later when they were talked to about it, and then somebody else joined in, volumes went up, and it was like it was interesting because they were saying things that just they were completely inaccurate. Like absolutely inaccurate. And it's like, and then they got a little condescending, and it was, but the person they were talking to was a member of Stave and Thief, that had plenty of accolades and stuff and did know what they were talking about. So yeah.
So
A certified bourbon steward. Yeah. This is anyway.
So I'm just saying. So that part of my thing is I just think that has to come back a little bit, like a standard of things. So I don't know. That's all.
I agree. Well, I'm glad. So it sounds like you guys like this one, which I'm very happy for.
Have we talked about what it tastes like yet?
I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't been, but you got 4 minutes, so go, Mitch.
No pressure.
No pressure.
All right, great. No problem. Let's find out.
Because I had it, and then, like I
So super oily, super viscous. Starts out kind of mild, just that mouthfeel. Comes in with vanilla. Then to me, it comes in with a sweet apple that morphs into orange. That then kind of travels to. We're going to call it. Not quite mint, that then turns to cucumber at the end. Just so kind of how mint is. All right, so I'm going to make a very weird statement, right? Cinnamon is spicy hot. Mint is spicy cold. So I'm getting kind of not necessarily spicy cold, but in that direction. That then, instead of getting more spicy or more cold, mellows to cucumber at the end.
can see that. Only thing I'd add is I'm getting like a little bit of plum or prune, like halfway through as well too. Like I'm getting a little bit of a dark note as well heading in there. Like I said, there's a lot to unpack in that. I don't want to call it subtle because, like you said, it's very oily, but kind of it's a subtle impact as what you have to deconstruct.
Would you say this is a fair statement? The color of the spirit is deceiving.
Yes.
On the flavor immensely, and I don't want to say it's different like nose to taste, but it is a very different. For me, it's a surprising nose to taste difference. You know what I mean? I don't feel like. I don't know the winter white. I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like the ale mash was there. I don't know. It threw me off. The nose, the beeriness of the nose, the mash there. I kind of smelt it more on the nose, not so much on the. It was like all fruit flavors and everything else, and a little bit of that. You know, like there was a neat transition for me over, and the flavor of the taste and the finish I really like.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and this one, Missouri, Missouri, no ship, but they are in the St. Louis and Kansas City markets. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah, that was really good. I like that one.
Sweet. We're 2 for 2. I like this. Now it's time to wreck your palate.
All right.
Woo.
Ooh. All right, hold on here. Let me.
I just smelled it though.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Hold on here.
What? Oh, okay.
All right, Mike. What are we looking at here?
So this one, a friend of mine gave it to me for my birthday this last year. He went into a liquor store and said, "Hey, I got a friend who's got a lot of whiskey, etc. I want to have something that's funky and fun and different." And the guy's like, "I got just the ticket for you." And so it is a now empty bottle, and you can't read it, but it is from Amador, and I've had some interesting stuff from Amador before, but this is Amador whiskey and hop flavored whiskey finished in Chardonnay wine barrels, and also just there's a nice sexiness to the Amador bottle. It's got a nice bottom heft to it too. It's just a good piece of glass. But I don't have much to do sampling with because I have shared the hell out of this one because it is, again, you're like, okay, I know. I on the nose, you're like, I know what you're giving me, but at the same time, it's yeah. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think of this, because it is not comparable or in any way could be confused with the previous distilled IPA, the Yahara Bay.
Well, see, now that's something and we don't have more of this, and I doubt it would go. But when I originally had that, it did not have that impact. It was much lighter, and I don't even like IPA. And I don't almost barely smell that in here from what I usually pick out as my negative IPA smells for me, where you can smell them for a mile away. But that thing transitioned over time, is what happened. And I know you've had that bottle. It was like 6 months later that after I handed out, I don't know what happened in that time frame.
Yeah,
whatever.
This bottle got opened at the end of July.
So you're fine on that one too. So
and I can tell that you're not an IPA person because you don't have a ponytail.
It's true.
And you're not wearing a bike jersey.
Well, let's see here.
Interestingly, my girlfriend does like IPAs and can have a ponytail. So far that holds true.
Spandex, yes or no? Because that's the other one.
I mean, do leggings count?
Yes. That. All right, here.
Yeah. But yeah, the nose for me. I mean, I'm curious what you guys say with nose. I'm like, yep, this is IPA.
I don't know if I want to drink this.
I think you do.
I mean, I do, but like based off the nose.
I am not. I mean, even back when I was drinking a lot of beer, IPAs, it was just because the IPA thing with me was always, there was people, was it the IBUs? And they're always like, how many IBUs is this one? Oh, it's only 375. Well, this one's 390, and that was their big measure of it, and that's not what it's about. I mean, it's like, is it good? Yes or no? That's basically it.
Okay. On this, like I said, it's not coming across as like heavy as a beer for me. So this is much lighter for me. For knowing it's an IPA, it's much more approachable. I'm getting a lot more just like, I don't want to call it hay, but like a dry grain, like a little dry oat, maybe. But it's not for me. This is not.
Mitch just looks like he's pumping himself up for this.
Good, Mitch, go, because I think
you can do it, Mitch.
I am not an IPA guy, so to me, this is getting smacked around a little bit. Because my first sniff, I was like, oh, because I got, a little bit of maltiness, a little bit of graininess, like a hint of caramel. Then I got smacked with hop, and then it finished grape from that Chardonnay. Like I could get just that hint of that. Now all I can smell is hop and the bile rising in the back of my throat. Because I really don't like hops. So I'm trying to be nice.
Honestly,
like more your own
I think the palate will be different, but I rewrote down what I had for the first time I had it. Two things on that I have for the nosing notes: IPA and an empty wine glass.
I was gonna say it's the grape.
Yeah, the first nose that. Now hops, skunks, and bile. Oh my god.
Well,
I think you need to go in.
Oh, let's get into this. A little more spicy heat than I expected up front. Not bad, but just like it was present. It has a nice
deceiving, isn't it?
That's a nice germ.
Right? Lemony. Go on, Mitch. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just naming a couple pop.
I like watching Mitch's reaction.
It's not okay. And then at the end, the finish, I'm getting a little more floral notes. Like that's where I'm. That's interesting. It's the there must be a war going on upstairs. That's where the finish is where I'm getting this weird kind of unique. I don't know. This is a different ride than what I was expecting.
Yep.
Okay. Thank God. It does not smell like or taste like how I was smelling it. So, right. To me, it opens really nice, really soft, brown sugar, slight wood note. Then it builds into whatever you think whatever hops are, taste like to you, right? To me, not a fan. Very bitter, too sharp citrus, and grassy. And then it faded into brown sugar, and then kind of went soft wood tannins, and then the hops came back, and then it faded into like a lovely, almost creme brulee at the very, very end. And that was the first sip. And the second sip cut almost half of the finish off, and and I lost the creme brulee, so I'm a little sad.
I'm getting the creme brulee just on the front of my tongue. Is where I'm getting that. I'm not getting it further back, but that's more just on the front and on the finish, like afterwards.
I'm really glad you guys are enjoying this. I would never have reached for it if I saw this on a shelf. Like, nope.
There is that second, like Mitch said, there's that second where that hop pops up, and it has to like come down a bit for me. But it's an interesting ride.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a take a small sip one. Because if you take a small sip, the hops, for me, never get to the point where I'm like, no, this is fine, thanks. But the bigger sip you take, the more I'm like, there's a line that probably touched the line. Right?
Yeah.
No. But I think you're exactly right on that for me, because it's when you're taking a sip, I was keeping it on more on the front third of my tongue for longer before letting it swoosh back and go quick. I think maybe you let it fill up more, and the back of your palate starts picking up more of that note. So hold on here. Yeah, for me, once it gets past like halfway on that bigger one, it starts to wash more of the outside of my tongue, and I get more of the hoppy notes from that rather than keeping it centered. When it starts washing the sides.
So I've talked about them. I don't know if I've talked about them on y'all's show, but when I went to become a whiskey sommelier, there was a fella in my class named Kurt Miller, and we just branded him the king of rye because he was from Pennsylvania and he loved rye, and he introduced us to like Dad's Hat and all these other ryes. And he had something very interesting to say. He said, if you're having trouble differentiating between like proof spice and kind of rye or herb spice, where does it tingle on your tongue? If it's on the outside, it's rye spice or, like just some sort of baking spice, whatever. But if it tingles somewhere else, it's proof spice. So if you can keep this away from the edges of your tongue, right, you get less of that kind of spicy hop note, which if you like IPAs, terrible thing. Get it out there. If you don't like IPAs, like,
shoot it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. But
a fun palate ride, I thought.
Okay. I like it. I mean,
absolutely.
I don't know if I personally would buy a bottle, but it's very interesting. Like,
but now that you've had it, would you give it a second shot going, Oh,
it would be something I would do again with people. It's an interesting thing for that. No, I mean, like, just like we were just talking about the difference between just having up front or washing it. How many times that doesn't happen as often, and at least for me, that you find something that like is different where you just keep it up front and you don't get it all. It has a different effect if you basically wash your tongue with it versus just drinking it like in a sip. A lot of things are very uniform that way where you're going to get the flavors, but I don't know, it's just different that way for me. Unique that way.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell
Good
you,
times. I'm glad
It
you
is.
guys like those.
I'm going to tell you that Edelbrand is my favorite today. That's going to be the not surprise winner. I like the Spirits of French Lick one. The Amador is playful, enjoyed it, but not, like I said, not something I would hop on a lot. But from the way it's constructed and what happens, I would be very intrigued by other releases they had. You know what I mean? Like from that alone, I'd be like, okay, what else? What if you're willing to play around like that? What else do you have? Because I'm intrigued. Because that was neat from that. But this just, I'm going to pour a little more. This the flavor that comes off of this versus what you're smelling on the nose. It's just a very, very neat, very intriguing surprise of the day.
Are we going to do the thing where we mix it all at the end?
Sure.
No, I'm not. I don't have any more Amador. I can't.
I'm gonna do it.
I could do an eyedropper of each one.
That's kind of what I'm doing right now. We gotta go quick.
Well, all right. Well,
you're on the clock.
We're literally on the clock.
Yep, going fast.
Whoa!
TikTok on the clock.
Hoppy, earthy, bright, baking spice.
What
prune.
the fuck did I just do?
Holy shit!
Oh, this is straight up cut vegetables.
Dude, I know. All ours are different. What?
I only have a tiny drop of each one in a glass, and it's just like, yeah, I have cut vegetables right now.
Oh, man. Mine turned out into whiskey. Like I tried to do and it's like almost nondescript. Like it's just like, oh yeah, vanilla, caramel, a little bit of baking spices in there.
Maybe
it smells weird as hell.
I don't dislike it. Very interesting.
It tastes like crunch
Honestly,
berry
that might be my winner.
that gets a little rye spice and a hint of mint and then earthiness at the end. Holy shit.
Yeah. Me, it became almost like a mildly high rye bourbon with low proof. Like it starts very sweet. The hops replaced the rye spice. Finished, like malty instead of woody. Like it was pretty nice. Like
excellent.
All right, well, good to know.
Sweet. I like these three. Thanks, Mike, for sending them out.
Welcome.
I appreciate that. Mitch, thank you for stopping in again and doing a little show. And next week, we will be having Mitch on again because we will be tasting the Santa Fe Spirits new unsmoked release versus their standard smoked release, which they've always done, just to get a little idea on that as well, too. So we'll get to see Mitch again next week. And we appreciate you doing that for us, Mitch. We like your insight.
Thanks, Mitch.
All right, everyone. All right. Remember, it's not the size of the den that matters. It's the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.